Okay, this video starts off with me at the Tractor Supply store down in Spanaway. I'm actually there to get some chicken feed. We're on the very northern part of Spanaway. And what you're seeing now, right directly in front of us, is the golf course that is there. Now, the street in front of us is Pacific Avenue. Often when people say they are coming here to be at JBLM, Joint Base Lewis McChord, I tell them, you know what, one of the best places probably to consider is this area. Spanaway is probably a good 17 minutes from my home. So it's a good 20 minutes on a good day from downtown. And on a good day, you'll see what I mean by all of the traffic here. It's very suburban sprawl. You're going to need a car if you do live here. It also is quick access to places like Olympia. This road, Pacific Avenue, so now you're seeing from Spanaway all the way up to we get into Tacoma. This is not a real city. This is actually unincorporated Pierce County. Eventually, one day in the far future, Tacoma could annex this into its city. More than likely, you're going to have probably Parkland annexed before Spanaway, just due to the way things are laid out, and probably Midland before any of those. But as you can see, a lot of mom and pop places, a lot of commercial spaces. You see A&W Root Beer on the left, as well as KFC. This area here requires a vehicle, obviously. It's heavily car-centric. If you live out here, you definitely need a car. This is not for people that's moving here and they're trying to give up their car. You're going to need a car, and there's a lot of delays. We're just now entering into Parkland. The sign was on the right. And Parkland, both cities, Parkland as well as Spanaway, are about 40,000 people each. So it gives you an idea that 80,000 people or so will usually use this main road to get to Tacoma, but there are other ways to get to Tacoma. Pacific Avenue is the main way. And along this way, you will see a lot more sketch activity. You'll see a lot more prostitution. You'll see a lot more homeless. The city has pushed, because we have camping bans in the city of Tacoma. When those are enforced, it makes it difficult for people to pitch up tents and do different things. So they are somewhat being pushed towards this part of the area. I don't know if pushed is the right way or the right word. Right now we're at 138th, I think is what that says, street. So we're still far from city limits of Tacoma. Tacoma is around 99th to 96th Street. And I give that range because basically at the border between Lakewood and Spanaway and all these places, Tacoma kind of is jagged at the bottom. So some areas you're going to be in Tacoma, some areas you're going to be in unincorporated Pierce County, which would be Parkland in this case. But generally speaking, anything north of 96th Street is going to be Tacoma. This area here is where a lot of things are going to be just the way Tacoma was many decades ago. You can tell by some of the designs of everything that's there. It's just older. Back there on the left, back there is a place called Lady Luck Cowgirl Up. And believe it or not, it is not a cowgirl bar anymore. It is a hip hop bar. I've been there a few different times. It's somewhat fun. One of my guys from Atlanta said, "This is just like Atlanta." Over here on the right, you see Foxy Lady, which is where the orange building is. It's basically a bikini barista bar. They have coffee there as well as alcohol. It's whatever you like. The gallery right here over to the right is where you can get that 21 plus green stuff. Starbucks is right here. You're going to see a lot of coffee places, right? GC is technically a coffee place also, right back to back. This area here is a lot of the strip malls, the random little stores, a lot of one-story buildings. You won't see anything greater than, 2 stories, if that, until you start to get into Tacoma a little bit. Actually, in Pierce County, this part of Pierce County, you're not going to see anything greater than 2 stories. What's interesting is we're approaching right as you're going into PLU over here on the left. You can see a series of small little stores, T-Mobile, you have B-Dubs, you have a lot of different things over here. This area here is kind of unique. PLU often will say that they're in Tacoma. It's not true. They're technically in Parkland, and obviously if Parkland was absorbed by Tacoma, they benefit from these mid-rises, the university, and all of that. That's many years off, and I'm sure my buddy Wes, who works for the planning department, does not look forward to annexing this. A lot of traffic over here. As I was going into TSC on that other side over there, it was backed up like this all the way. You're going to have hit and miss. Traffic will peak, drop, at an instant. So you really don't know, but typically traffic's a nightmare. Frederickson's further down this area when you go towards where the bus is heading. So as you head south, you're heading towards Frederickson and Spanaway. Both are heavily growing, and Parkland. So all these areas are growing, so it just leads to more and more traffic congestion. So for folks who don't mind sitting in traffic and the distance, it's a lot more affordable out this way. And it depends on what you want. But again, during rush hour, this sucks. And people will tell you, there are people who live here who will tell you, traffic sucks. There's really not a lot of good ways to get down to Spanaway from Tacoma, even though there is a rail line that runs that's not being used, that runs from Tacoma down to Spanaway. There's not enough momentum with the city or the county to make that happen. Right here, as you see the interstate signs, you could basically take I-5, go into downtown Tacoma, or go down to Olympia. You take the 512 and head over to Puyallup as well. So you have a lot of options, and technically, once you get past these green interstate signs on the other side of the light, you are officially in Tacoma. You're going to see a lot of your common, average, everyday stuff. Over here on the left was a gentleman that was having some issues. Not too much longer ago in Tacoma, you would see that often. But again, a lot of that has been pushed farther south. And people just naturally start to move whenever a lot of things become a lot more difficult to do what they typically have done. You're going to see a lot of car dealerships and whatnot. Again, Denny's, just Tacoma of the past. This is where to really go to kind of see a lot of that. So now, once we get to this light, you are technically officially right now in Tacoma. And you're going to start seeing a lot more density as we get further and further. Now, you're not going to see the middle piece, right? Remember last time, right here by Fugels, by the way, is our one and only Gentleman's Club, which is right over there to the right. But it's close by a Jack in the Box and Taco Bell. So there you go. One of the big issues here is that Tacoma, when we're looking at this general area, it's a long distance. And that's one of the big issues that people face. Living out here, it's a lot more affordable. It's still expensive, but it's a lot more affordable than in Tacoma. And then you're going to have to battle through the traffic that is pretty bad. Now, there is a so-called BRT line that runs through here. This is the bus line is the one line. It's the busiest bus line we have. But also the community BRT line runs through here. It's basically enhanced bus service is what it is. Over to the left, you have Dollar Tree. You also have Planet Fitness and Sonic. I remember when Sonic came in, it was a really big deal. I don't know why, but it just was. I don't think Seattle even has one. It was a big deal for that to actually be here and has done very well. want you to notice the U-Haul here up on the right. Something that I think has been a big waste of space is U-Haul centers. We have a lot of them that come in and take over old shopping centers. And then they're close together. So within a span of probably 3 miles, you have 3 U-Haul companies. One is right here to the right. The other one, believe it or not, is less than a block away on the right, and it's a large shopping center. Major waste of space. So now this is when we start to get into a really more sketchier area. And you will see possibly more things like prostitution. You'll see a lot more instances of stuff that shouldn't be, I guess. Enterprise cars right here, and then just right over here to the right is another U-Haul place. It's just interesting that that's what went in those 2 places. This area needs a lot more investment and improvement, but the farther you get away from downtown, developers are just not here yet. There's a video that will come up soon that is basically in South Tacoma Way, and similarly, South Tacoma Way's time is not here yet. You still have a lot of things to do, a lot of great investments, but it's just not quite at that point where developers are ready to put down buildings. Right up here on the right, you start to see a 3-story building. You see your 2 stories over to the left, your 3 stories right here. You see some homeless folks hanging out right there. This was supposed to be condos, but it didn't work out. The company moved from Gig Harbor to here, put their headquarters, it fell flat. And they had plenty of different properties all over, and so they had to sell that. And now those are now going to be apartments. Nothing wrong with it. It's just hard to do that type of thing this far out. Mainly traffic, and also the issue of things that people don't like to see. It just is what it is. We did, and I didn't point them out quite often, a lot in this. I don't like to necessarily do that, but we have passed a few. I would say a couple of people who I would say are prostitutes. And one is right there. It does happen. It does happen along this. Now you're seeing more density. As I mentioned, you see a lot of 2-story, 3 stories. These are apartments, and they do very well. This area here is probably the one where people are the most cautious out of the whole stretch. Right here, you're entering a Fred Meyer, which has a massive center. Oh, there's another one. A massive center over to the left. Great grocery shopping, a lot of stuff. The building we just passed on the right, that's brand new. But it is a little sketchy. Why? Because you're right here on 72nd Street. This is the one intersection where it's very busy because 72nd's busy, Pacific Avenue is busy, buses cross both areas, and there's just a congregation of stuff that shouldn't be. Spuds is right here on the right. It is a staple. If you want to know what Tacoma was like back in the 70s, go to Spuds. It's really a step back in time. Now we're into the residential area, but then it starts to go into commercial later. The video is going to stop. We will do other videos talking about the middle section that we missed on Pac Avenue at a different time. But this is kind of where everything stops in this video. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed that video. It kind of cut off on me. I have to do my videos kind of uniquely when I do them. It's weird. It's really weird. So, but one of the reasons why it's weird real quick is because in my car, I have a Tesla, which I did a video on. And so it's keyed up to my phone. So once my phone is involved, it will take the sound off. I talked through that whole video and it was a lot better. So what I have to do is upload the video and then do a voice over to make it do right, but whatever. But that was pretty much to the end of the video. So now you've seen 2 different sections of Pac Avenue, right? You've seen from Spanaway all the way up into Tacoma, around close to, I don't know, 67th or so Street. And then you've seen from basically downtown, the core of downtown, the central business district. You've seen from there all the way on Pac Avenue, all the way up to that bridge where you see the condos. What you haven't seen is what's in the middle. And we will talk about that and show that video at a different time. But you will see the change in apartments. You'll see the change in density. You'll see a lot of different things. So where you've seen all that suburban development and low-rise, one-story shops and buildings, that is what a lot of Tacoma looks like still, but not as much. And you're seeing a lot of changes. Some of these buildings are kind of ragged, but when you see some of the buildings that have been remodeled, and I wish I would have taken a video or a photo of a building that is right close to the Lincoln District where they did that, it looks night and day. There's another building where that's been done. So you will see in Tacoma, I will point out one building, two buildings actually in particular, that have been completely revamped. And you would never have known that they looked really crusty back in the day, but they did. They look like a lot of the buildings we saw back there on Pac Avenue near Spanaway and Parkland. And then developers buy them for really very low money and fix them up and make them look good. One of the buildings is an architectural firm that did that. That's not going to be in the next video. The other is massage parlor. Surprise, surprise. Along Pac Avenue, you probably will come across maybe 40 different Asian massage parlors just from the bridge that I showed you all the way out to Spanaway. The other building that was revamped is it used to just be a storefront with 2 stories up above it. They converted that whole thing into an apartment building. It's a 3-story apartment building, but it's all micro units. It's really, really cool, and they've updated it. But you will get to see that in the next video, and also an area that used to be an old gun shop. They tore it down and turned it into apartments. And so for a while, it sat there for a bit after they did foundational work. They sold it. Another developer bought it, put those up, and those I think are 4 stories. So you'll see as you get closer to downtown, the buildings start to jump up. You will also see videos in the future that talk about the Lincoln District, which is our international district. You will see that and how that area has truly jumped in height. I haven't recorded those. Well, what I have recorded is out on South Tacoma Way and actually walked that area. You'll see a crazy motorcyclist drive right past me on the sidewalk. It was crazy. Don't know why, but yeah, he did that. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and comment. Until next time, I will see you. Take care.